Beginning, a mission to the unknown. My name is Cashin Hale, a human relic hunter and occasional diplomat in the interstellar corridors of the Ardane cluster. My life revolved around scavenging lost artifacts, recovering contraband technology, and occasionally mediating disputes between warring factions. Rarely did it involve royalty. That changed the day I was summoned to the court of Queen Valira of Elendor, a civilization renowned for its technological marvels and political intrigue. The Elendran people were elegant, with bioluminescent markings that shifted with their emotions and a command of technology far beyond anything humans had achieved. The queen herself was a legend, a ruler whose presence alone demanded obedience, yet whose mind was as sharp as any military strategist I had ever met. The mission was simple, at least on paper: deliver a recovered relic from a derelict human vessel in the Outer Rim. It was a watch, an artifact of sentimental value, long believed lost in a battle decades ago. I entered the Elendran palace under heavy guard, my human features stark against the alien architecture of floating spires, translucent floors, and corridors that seemed to bend light itself. I had navigated hostile sectors, faced pirates, and survived plasma storms, but stepping into the Queen's court made my pulse race. Middle, the delivery. I approached the throne room cautiously. Queen Valira sat elevated above the court, a figure of grace and power. Her eyes, golden and penetrating, fixed on me as I knelt, presenting the relic. "It's just a watch," I said, trying to sound casual, though I knew words carried little weight here. "Recovered from the vessel Aurora's end. It belonged to someone important to you." She tilted her head slightly, an almost imperceptible frown crossing her features. Her hands, adorned with rings of ancient design, hovered above the armrest of her throne. I placed the watch in her hands. The moment her fingers touched it, the room froze, not literally, but in that surreal way time seems to stop when shock overtakes the mind. Her golden eyes widened, her bioluminescent markings flaring to a vivid violet. This cannot be," she whispered, her voice trembling. "Ma'am?" I asked carefully. "It's genuine. We verified it before transport." She clutched the watch to her chest, tears welling in her eyes. "It belonged to him, my husband." I froze. A queen whose composure rarely faltered was now visibly shaken. Guards and courtiers exchanged cautious glances. The air was thick with tension. "Ma'am, I don't understand," I said. "This watch, why does it matter?" She looked up at me, her voice steadier now but laced with grief. "He was lost in the last great rebellion, presumed dead. This watch, it proves he survived, or at least that he existed beyond the battle." Unraveling the past. The next hours blurred into a whirlwind of questions, explanations, and revelation. Queen Valira recounted her husband's fate, a mission deep into enemy territory that had gone wrong. His disappearance had been a political and personal tragedy. The Elendran court had mourned him, assumed him lost forever, yet no one had recovered definitive proof of his survival. And now, decades later, a human had returned a single artifact, a watch, a seemingly insignificant object that held the weight of history, proof, and love. "You recovered this?" she asked, eyes locked on me, disbelief tempered by cautious gratitude. "Yes, Your Majesty," I replied. "It was found among wreckage on a derelict station. I assumed it had sentimental value." She nodded slowly, her bioluminescent glow dimming as sorrow mingled with hope. "You have no idea how much this changes everything." I did not fully understand then, but I would soon. Middle, conspiracy, and revelation. After the initial shock, Valira demanded a private audience. The court cleared the chamber, leaving only her, me, and the artifacts of her reign. She explained that her husband's disappearance had been more than tragedy. It had been a cover-up. Political rivals had sought to erase him, to rewrite history. The watch, seemingly innocuous, was the first undeniable proof that someone had defied their erasure. "Human," she said, voice firm, "you have unearthed a truth that many would kill to hide. And yet, you are here, unafraid, delivering what they failed to destroy." "I didn't know it was so significant," I admitted. "I only saw it as salvage. I never intended." "You intended nothing," she interrupted. "And that is why you are still alive. Many who discovered this relic before you did not return." The Queen's words sent a chill down my spine. What I had assumed was a simple delivery was in fact a key to secrets, conspiracies, and unfinished wars. She leaned closer, her gaze piercing. "You must help me. With this watch, with the proof it carries, we can reveal the truth. We can honor my husband and bring justice to those who have hidden it." I nodded, suddenly understanding that my role had shifted from relic courier to participant in a delicate political and personal mission. The Alliance. Over the following weeks, I assisted Queen Valira in uncovering the layers of deceit surrounding her husband's disappearance. The watch became a linchpin, its hidden mechanisms revealing encrypted messages he had left, coordinates to secret locations, and evidence of political machinations within the Alindran court. Together, we navigated treacherous alliances, untrustworthy nobles, and old enemies who still lingered in the shadows. Valira's intelligence, grace, and resilience impressed me beyond measure. She was not merely a grieving widow, she was a tactician, a ruler, and now, my guide through a web of intrigue I had barely imagined. At night, after council meetings and investigations, she would sometimes speak quietly to me, away from the eyes of the court. "You are brave, human. Not because you carry a weapon, but because you do what others fear. You see what others do not." Her words, simple as they were, carried weight. I realized that the Queen had entrusted me not just with a relic, but with her trust, her confidence, and the opportunity to help shape history. The climax, confrontation. The conspiracy reached its peak when Valira's rivals attempted to seize control of the court using fabricated evidence and hidden assassins. The watch, with its hidden recordings, became the final proof of her husband's legacy, his deeds, and the lies that had been spun to erase him. We worked together to expose the truth during a grand assembly, presenting the recovered messages, holographic evidence, and the watch itself as undeniable proof. The courtiers gasped, rival nobles faltered, and the Queen's authority solidified in ways that mere force could never achieve. When the chamber quieted, Valira turned to me. "You see, human? One small object, one simple act, can alter the course of history." "I never imagined it would mean so much," I replied, humbled by the gravity of my part in this story. Ending, resolution, and recognition. In the days that followed, Queen Valira restored her court, honoring her husband's memory and rooting out the treachery that had plagued her reign. I was recognized not merely as a human who delivered a watch, but as an ally, a participant in the preservation of history. We spoke often in private, her amber eyes filled with gratitude. "Cashin, you risked nothing yet accomplished everything. You have my trust and my thanks." I smiled. It was never about risk. It was about doing the right thing. I just didn't know how far-reaching the consequences would be. Valira's hands brushed mine lightly, a gesture of both friendship and acknowledgement. Sometimes, the smallest acts carry the heaviest weight. Today, we have changed history together. As I left the palace for the last time, I understood the profound lesson embedded in a single relic. Even something as ordinary as a watch could alter destinies, reveal truths, and mend wounds that time alone could not heal. The queen had frozen when I handed her the watch, but in that moment, I realized I had not merely returned an object. I had returned a piece of her life, her love, and her legacy. And that was worth more than any reward I could have imagined. Sometimes history chooses you, not for your courage, but for your willingness to act when the universe demands it. And that day, I acted. I had become more than a human courier. I had become part of a story that would echo across the stars, long after the hands of the watch had stopped.